Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening, good people. I know why you're here. Do you know why you're here? I hope so. I'm going to go ahead and get Instagram started and then we'll be able to sort of boom, 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 wow. There we go. Uh, so good to see you all. I see folks are already popped on. You're waiting for the good things. You're waiting for the good things. You're here for the good stuff and things. I'm so excited that tonight we are talking about grab them by the ear, but most importantly, we are going to practice with some really amazing people what the book teaches. So thank you, thank you, thank you for popping in. Of note, just to say of note here, what we are going to do tonight, this is not one of those virtual events where you're going to hear three people because we got some surprise and amazing guests. Well, you're not just going to hear three people talking up here for about 45 minutes. That's not what's going to happen, right? Because if you thought you was going to sit here and fold your laundry while you do this, give it up, because that's not what's going to happen. This is involved. You can fold laundry. I'm not sure how you're going to judge it through the process, but I want you to understand that we're going to keep this chat open. I want you to grab something to write with, grab your own ear and tell yourself to listen up and listen in. Paper, if your phone is what you use to keep yourself honest, that's what we want. A back of an envelope, because I'm guilty of the back of the envelope and then wondering where the hell is that envelope? Who knows? Somewhere. Take a picture of it. Because today we're going to do some work. We are going to be joined by Chris Armitage, who is the author of the book. He gave us this practical language for moving these folks, people like me, right? These nasty little politicians. I'm just kidding, right? We're good people. Not all of us, though. Moving us from concern to civic action, and also going to be joined by my colleague, Delegate Nicole Cole, who knows all too well what it looks like when the ask actually arrives inside of government. So by the time you leave, this is our terminal objective. What I would like to say as an instructional designer, our terminal objective, what you want to leave here today, right? By the time we leave, I do not want you to simply feel like, oh, I am inspired. I want you to know what you're asking for. I want you to know who can move that ask and where it can be reached and what you're going to do in the next 48 hours. Okay, KK, can we do that? All right. All right, so I see you guys coming in all the places. Welcome on Instagram. Welcome in all the places. Let us sort of make some agreements real quick, right? Can we agree that this is our room? And you can drop it in the chat. I'm not saying it to ask myself. This is our space, right? The chat is the room. Right? If you don't show up in a chat, then we might have some problems. The writing is the work, the things you need to take home. We're going to keep our answers short if we can. Some of you guys keep it because we're going to keep it moving. Try not to post anything personal in the chat, like too overly personal, because this is going to get sort of cut down and put on for prosperity. And I don't want, like I said, you can write privately if you want to send a message to our offices. If you really love something Chris says and you're like, oh my God, I love Nicole. If you're like me, because that's what I'm like, oh my God, I love Nicole. You can message her on all the spaces and places. She'll give that information. Know that power is not absorbed by osmosis. You have to put on your own issue through this process. And I want everybody to feel free from perfection tonight, free from it. We're going to just drop the messy versions of what we're doing. We don't want to tighten up silence. With that, I want to bring in the amazing guest that we have for today, starting with hopefully, I'm going to pull her in. Let's see if we got it. Never fails to blow my mind. Delegate Nicole Cole. Nicole, can you hear us?
I can hear you loud and clear. Yay! It's working. Woo!
Yes, Nicole. Technology. Where would I be? Nicole, give them a little what they need to know about you, girl. Like, what should they be knowing about this delegate here?
What you need to know about me is, so I am a freshman delegate in the House of Delegates for Virginia, having flipped my seat last year from the previous serving delegate who had been in office for 36 years. Part of the work that I did runs along the lines of what we're going to be talking about today for other people to get engaged and advocate. But in order to get in this seat, to be able to serve my House District 66, which is in Spotsylvania and Caroline County of Virginia. And so, it was, as I was reading, thinking about the fact that when I was on school board, from 2022 through 2025, we had a terrible first 2 years, and within my first 6 months in, realized that I was going to have to do some of this work that Chris talks about to be able to flip our school board. And so I'm excited to be here today to talk to the people on how they can help us to be able to bring good governance and support to the people of the Commonwealth of Virginia.
Okay, wait a minute. How many year incumbent did you say? How many years?
36 years. I'm a dragon slayer.
30 freaking 6 years. Okay, like
yes.
I mean, that's.
They said it couldn't be done, Jackie, but she with a chuckle replied.
See what a doer does. And see what a doer does. And to your point,
I'm a doer.
Following
your example. Following
yours. But in the same vein, I wish I had this book back then to help me and to sort of conceptualize the work that I was doing, because sometimes when you're doing the work, you don't even know that you're winning. You don't even like. Absolutely. I don't even know that I'm winning. I don't even know. Mm-hmm. So like, yes. Are you ready to bring Chris into this?
I am. I'm excited to bring Chris into the chat.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, okay, it is not often that we get to have conversations like this with people who are using their time. Let's talk about the thing we all got. We all get it. As long as we're 10 toes down, we all get it, but we get to choose what we do with it. But this guy is choosing with his time to make us better at getting the things that we want to see right now done. So without further ado, I want to welcome in Chris Armitage, the author of Grab 'em by the Ear. Chris, what are you even doing grabbing them by the ear? You're mute.
That's all right. I'm very happy to be here. Well, and we just designed a new book cover, but we haven't released it yet. But we got a cartoon artist out of Seattle, and it's like a 1950s like Leave It to Beaver mother, and she's pulling a Ted Cruz type politician by the ear in front of the White House. So we're excited to get that live. And right now I'm in a van. I got a van. It's brand new. This is the vehicle because I've been traveling around the country. I get invited places, and I especially North Carolina, Charlotte, Indivisible. I've gotten a bunch of time with them, and I'm headed to Yakima, Washington in like 2 weeks because they're starting. This is like a super conservative area, and they're no King's protest. They're like, wait, there's a bunch of people here who care about democracy. They never would have guessed. And so they're starting a whole group, and I'm there as they start this group. And so I got the van, and I'm here. And
got to go to the people. You got to go to where they are. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, I love the play on the thing. We all know what the thing is. I don't know if people know what the thing is. If you're oblivious to grab them by the ear as to where that probably. What was your inspiration, Chris? Because there are some people who are like, it's just the ears that you're grabbing about. What was the inspiration?
Well, one of the 1,000 things that should have tanked Donald Trump and his the locker room talk, as they said, and it's like I didn't think of it until I mentioned the idea to a friend because I was just talking about doing that. And then he was like, you know what that makes me think of? And I was like, okay, well, I guess we have our title. And ear, I I don't know. I love this activism stuff, and
it's a much better thing.
Yeah, it's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
Well, these politics, I mean, and to be clear, like, it's just the higher you go, the more incentives there are to be a bad actor, and the more opportunities arise for you as a bad actor. And that's kind of the heart of this whole system, is that, like, democracy shines at its smallest increments, and we, all of us, are its smallest increments.
Right.
So, Nicole, like, for you, what do you think? Because he's like, I love this democracy. That's quotable. I should write that down. Democracy shines at its smallest increments.
Right.
So, Nicole, I'd ask you maybe, like, what makes an ask easier for a policymaker or a public official to act on it? What makes it easy? Like, no holds barred. Yeah, to act on something. What makes it easier for you to act on something?
I mean, when he says, like, at the lowest, at the smallest increments, it's where the rubber hits the road, where people are really feeling it. You know, it's the hearing the stories of how something is affecting a constituent in real life, to either harm them or harm our communities, or where it might even be an opportunity. It is really the smallest things, right? And when you say small, I'm thinking of small in the sense of one person, right? And then that one person uses their voice to say, this is happening to me, or this is something that we need because this would make our community better, or this would help my family so that I can contribute more to our community, our region, etc. Right? And once one person says it, then other people say, I can relate to that. That would help me too. And so then that's how it builds, right? And so to be able to have people recognize that what we do in governance is we're supposed to listen to where those opportunities are that come from their individual or small group stories, so that then we can make change for the greater good.
It's super interesting, right? Like, to the point of what we started off talking about, sometimes you're winning and you just don't even know, because there's just so much. So
you feel alone. Sometimes you feel like an island, out there by yourself.
Which is why grabbing by the ear is like, so the art of recruiting is so important. So, Chris, where do you think ordinary people underestimate their own power?
Well, gosh, that's, I was doing an event recently in the Met-How Valley of Washington State, and it was in an actual barn, but it's like their auditorium in town. They converted it, and when everybody was coming in, they were just like, I could feel. But also, right before I walked in, they said we have 150 seats. Don't feel bad if we don't fill them all. And 200 people showed up, and we talked about democracy. And but they're like, the mood at the beginning was like this sadness, and so I was like, let's skip ahead past the me just talking on stage stuff and start talking to each other. And hand that microphone to people. And just what I kept hearing was people feeling like they've been doing the activism thing a lot. Some of them since 2015, some of them since the Vietnam War. And they feel like they've wasted their effort, that they've seen things get worse, and that when we get a win, it just stops things from getting worse. And then it's right back on that. And that hurts. And it's not tearing down or like putting down that effort. Like, that effort is honorable and good. It's not putting that down to say we can become more sophisticated, that we need a new era of civic engagement that is more informed than ever before, and built for the modern era, but also using what worked in the past. And so that frustration is real, because people have felt themselves spinning their wheels. And I've now built a career off of saying, like, actually, you have so much untapped power, and you can make somebody's career or have a very negative impact on their career if you're persistent enough.
Right.
Very make it have a very beat them in an election. What I find, right, what I find is so interesting is the difference, which what this book does to me, Chris and Nicole, you can chime in, is like there's a difference between organizing and mobilizing, right? Total, those are two separate things. And it's so funny because I have to shout out my friend Kim, who runs this organization called Grow, and it's Growing Organizers, is that when you jump straight to mobilizing, you never you don't know how to quantify a win. And then you're getting all these wins and you never have sat down and decided what actually makes a win. So you're effective, but you have no idea that you're effective. And what the E.A.R.R does is really makes you sit with yourself, sit with your issue, take the steps, know those steps and how you're going to count them, bring people in and keep going, right? It takes you from that continuum of organizing and to mobilizing. Don't jump. You can't skip one for the other.
And
go ahead.
No, and I was just going to say, because the part about organizing is also defining the milestones along the way, right? Because as in Grabbing by the Ear, revealed, a lot of the examples of things can take a long time to make change. We know that, over a more than 20-year period of time, there was a gradual and insidious build and slow win to capture to be able to fully implement the Project 25, right? That didn't happen all at once. That started in the late 90s, right? And but we see from them that there was steps along the way that they kept getting wins. But we've had that too, though, right? On the good side, on the E.A.R.R side. I'm trying to remember some of the examples that you had in the book off the top of my head. But there's a civil rights movement. There's steps along the way, and the organizing defines the milestones along the way, right? So that then people can feel, and then you remind people, okay, so we accomplished this goal, or we didn't hit this, but we can reconfigure, do something different, and then get that goal and keep moving forward, because it's not going to all happen at once.
It's not going to all happen.
And I think one of the biggest tactical and strategic errors on both levels within modern politics is that it comes from something that makes a lot of sense logically. Most of our representatives and leadership within the Democratic Party are attorneys and people with law backgrounds. And so when that's your background in professional settings, your win rate is seen as an important thing, and not for no reason, because you want to be a good steward of public money, right? And so if you're irresponsible with public money and love to be performative with your lawsuits, so you get good headlines, then that, that's what the Jerry Falwell, the anti-choice, religious zealot, he 40 years ago, he was asked, you guys are really trying to overturn Roe v. Wade. It has 80% public approval. It's settled Supreme Court doctrine, and it was seen as a bipartisan win. And you think you're going to overturn Roe versus Wade? And he said, yeah, give it 30 or 40 years and we'll do it. And I don't like him and I don't agree with that conclusion, but it's like, we have had all these different movements in our nation's history, and understanding that fighting is actually a win. It's not losing, because every time you're bringing up a fight, you are pushing the public awareness, the sentiment. You're making the enemy spend resources. You are invigorating your own people and showing them your commitment. This country started in under a 5-year period. We went from Thomas Paine writing the book Common Sense to 20% of Americans owning a copy of it and reading it to each other out loud. And 1 out of 5 Americans read a book about how we should be our own country based on Enlightenment ideals, that humans have value and should be allowed to weigh in on consent of the governed. And then you look at the legacy of slavery, and it's people were born enslaved and then lived a whole life fighting slavery and wanting and working to abolish it. We had people at the Constitutional Convention who put their name on our founding documents who said slavery should be abolished. It's a bad thing. And people were born into it, lived a whole life fighting it, and then died. And the work they did mattered, but it might not have been felt until after they passed. And they certainly, I can't imagine they would have done anything different because they understood it was that important, you know?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Let's get into it. I love this. We're doing it. Okay. So we're not going to do too much sliding here, but one thing I think I got from the book was this premise of that, like, power is actually a practice, right? That it is not just a personality. And Nicole, like, we're politicians, and I know it's probably weird to have politicians telling you this is how you get the politicians to do what you want. But what I think we have in common,
we're public servants. I say public servants, right?
Listen, Nicole, public servants, however you want to put it. I am unafraid of the word politician because I feel like
that too.
That it's not. It's like saying lobbyist is a dirty word when I know the A.A.R.R lobbyist is not the devil. You know what I mean? But I get it. It has been embedded in us. But the premise underneath this book, it's simple, but it's not soft. That politics moves for people who know what they want, who can actually give it to them, and who can sort of keep showing up until, ignoring them becomes more costly than listening. Yep. It's not sustainable. Your pocketbook's what's going to hurt. But I think a lot of us were trained to think that power belongs to the loudest person, the richest person, the person with the title, the person who knows the, secret handshake, or who's been in that room the longest. And so power is not a personality trait, it's a practice. And I think that what Chris, if you can, chime in, is saying in this book is that, hey, simply put, like, you can learn it. Like, you can actually learn it, you can repeat it, and you can bring somebody with you.
Right. Yes. And I'm going to ask you guys if this sounds like anyone or many people that you may know. Well, there's not a ton of them everywhere, but I think they are everywhere across the country. So I have this friend, and he's been a bit of a mentor over the years. He was in the first ever Spokane Pride Parade back when they could, in 1971, when they wouldn't be given a permit. Amazing man. And he is one of the most, he's not wealthy. He is not, he's never held office. He's never run for office. He's never been the chair of, the local Democrats or anything like that. But he is very informed on the issues. And for his entire adult life, he has picked a candidate every year in every cycle, and he will deliver signs for them, and he will talk their ear off about the issues he cares about. And he's just been doing that for so long that you better believe if he calls the mayor, she will answer. If he calls our state Senate majority leader, because he lives in that state Senate majority leader's district, State Senate Majority Leader of Washington State, Marcus Riccelli, will pick up his phone, and this guy's never given a donation of more than $10. He's just continued to show up for a long time and make, he's been talking about these issues, and it's that is so much power that it's a type of power and influence that can't be bought, especially at the local level. And so would you say you two have met people who kind of fit that profile?
Yeah, I mean, and it's it helps us to have people like that who basically, come and they're like, hey, I can invite, 10 people, or I was talking with someone in my district who serves and works with a lot of veterans. And she was just like, I can invite, some veterans over so that we can have a conversation. And it's like a small town hall, right? But for her to basically pull in veterans, it helps me because then I have access to people, to a specific group who, when I am trying to pass or understand an issue, or if they have ideas about an issue that is going to be supportive of veterans in my community, which there are a lot of, not as many as Jackie's probably, but there are, she has probably more active military than I have active, but in any case, then it gets me being closer to that group of constituents, right? And people don't know how powerful that is. I think that that little thing and those 10 people who she invites creates power for them because they have my ear, right? If they call me after that, then I'm going to answer the call. We're going to set them up for a meet, and it doesn't take much, but yes.
No, and I can say what I've learned and what I like, people are like, well, what's the best part about running for office? Okay, running for office is definitely the easy part. Okay, like it's the
running is horrible, and you
got a different district than me
for doing it. I do not envy that role. It is brutal. It is exhausting.
It is.
I'm grateful for you.
But what I'm saying is like mental capital. It is hard work. It is the human capital that comes in and makes it, I don't want to say easier, because Nicole, like I do, when we go into those back rooms, we have to be decision makers. That gets easier when we know we have people that we're accountable to. Yes. And so for me, it gets easier to stand up with your, as we like to say, and it's inappropriate, but I'm going to say it for women, my friends, we say TU, tits up. Like we go up in there, like, let's go. Right? Because we got people, and those people are the ones that, for me, there's a guy who highlights what he thinks I need to know in the newspaper, and he puts it on my gate. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the dude that I'm listening to.
Awesome. Right?
There's a particular cashier that I can go to at the Food Lion that if I walk through there, every time she's telling me, hey girl, here's what I'm hearing. Like that is gold. That is gold for me. And so it allows me to be, not only do I know I'm going to have that conversation, but I can go into those rooms in Richmond, in our capital, and dissent very easily, because I know that my people have said X, Y, and Z. And these are people who I know for a fact have not contributed a dime to my campaign, other than making me a better human and giving me a better understanding of community.
Yeah, well, and sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, being a freshman delegate, how great it felt when I went to present in front of Senate for one of my bills, and I had like 12 people who had driven down from my district to be in the audience. That I had been working the bill on their behalf, and for them to be there and stand up, they didn't have to be there like, all during session. They were there that one day. And even if they couldn't show up, that I knew that they were there and that I was doing the work for them. Right. And the same, I'm pretty sure that they hadn't donated to my campaign. I think some of them probably hadn't voted for me because it was an issue that one of the Republican Board of Supervisors members brought to me, right? And so, but it was an issue that is affecting negatively a lot of constituents in my district. So,
well, it's part of what I tell people about local office is it's a place where like morals and ethics play a bigger persuasive role, because I'm not really interested in talking to governors or U.S. senators as much, like just because they, even like the really well-intentioned ones, polling and donors still play a large role in their decision making, because to keep moving up that ladder, like there's just all this different math that's involved. But at the local level, like really being a human is far more accessible to you. So I appreciate you guys so much, seriously.
Oh goodness, we're trying. These are girls just trying. Let's get into the premise of what you're talking about knowing the issue, naming the target, and sort of make ignoring you cost and hurt a little bit. It gotta hurt. It's gonna hurt a little bit. You start off with these sorts of things. Chris, I would love for you to sort of talk about this, the ear loop in a sense for
Yes.
folks. Can you?
And I'll mention too, on the educate one, I'm working on another booklet that expands on the issue target ask model. I call it the cipher of like, I'm still figuring it out, but it's the cipher. And the idea is a cipher lock. You know, those are those round locks that have multiple levers that you twist around them in a circle. And so your ask, what's the issue you care about? Also mention, we're trying to figure out, which we want to build a free app for people to help them get through that particular stage. And so the ask is, what issue do you care about? Is it, genocide? Is it democracy, protecting elections, whatever it is? Then you look at your targets. So you say, can my governor do anything about this? Can my mayor do anything about this? Can my city council rep? Can my state house rep? Can any of them do anything to influence this? And they often have very different things they can do. Sometimes, just if you can, just like, your senator, your U.S. senator might not be able to do something about an issue on first thought, that like local or that you're trying to do at the state house. But like, we're doing an initiative right now. We want to help New York State have public banking. We're still contacting the like Senator Schumer's office, because even though he's a U.S. senator, we would love for him to issue a public statement supporting public banking in New York. And if you have a particularly good relationship with like a House rep or a state or a U.S. senator, you can ask them, just, will you, like, as a resident and as a representative of the people, will you talk to our governor and say that this is something your constituents are asking for, and you hope that they'll support it? Then you go down the list, though. You need to like learn what the jobs of these people are, and guess what? You can ask them too. So once you know your issue, you can start by sending an email to the mayor and saying, I really care about this issue, and I'm just wondering what you can do about it. And sometimes a tactic that's really helpful is to first play dumb. And that's okay. Just say like, I care about, it's not, you just say like, I care about this issue. Are you going to do anything about it? Or can you do anything about it? And that's an instant little, snapshot into that representative's attitude, because they lie sometimes. And then you can say, well, that's interesting, because I was reading that you have executive order powers, that you could like divest funds, and maybe you don't assume bad faith. You don't have to assume that. Maybe they're just wrong, and you can help them understand. Like, well, we invest in these 10 different companies through our pension fund that fund these companies are destroying democracy worldwide and in America. We don't want that. They're helping war crimes happen. I don't want our city spending its tax dollars with these companies or investing retirement funds with these companies. And you tell them that, and then you wait for a response, and you have a dialogue. And even if they send you a form letter, you say, I'm not happy with this. I can tell it's a form letter. And if they don't send you a response, that gets educate. That's part of the educate process too, is you want to figure out your ask, your target, what they can do. Activate is where you take that into practice. That is the outreach stage. So you're reaching out to them, you're applying pressure, you don't get a response, you get an insufficient response, you get a response you don't like. It works whether or not you agree with them. Plenty of people say, oh, my governor's Ron DeSantis, he's not going to listen to me talk about Gaza. Well, actually, you can make him listen to you, and he's going to have staff who are bugged and annoyed, and their resources are spent being annoyed by you rather than whatever fascist thing that they're doing. And so very valuable. It's not enough to just move forward. It's good for strategically for, this is asymmetric political warfare, and politics is war without blood is one of my favorite expressions. And so, we move on to activate, and we reach out, and you say, okay, cool. Well, I sent you every one of those people that I said, your mayor, you have their specific ask for them. Well, cool. I emailed them. They didn't respond. I sent their office a fax. They didn't respond. I sent them a letter. I called their office. I emailed them. I filled out their constituent contact form. Now I'm just going to go to their office with a box of pizza and hang out. And maybe I'll share some with their staff. And I'll put a poster. I'll hand a poster to their staff. And I say, guys, mind if I just have some pizza in here? Because I've been trying to get a hold of the mayor and I've tried 10 different ways and I can't get a hold of them. And I just really care about this whole democracy thing and want to talk to them about blah, blah, blah. And then maybe you could invite 3 friends. You could show up to your Indivisible group or your Democrat County chapter and say, I want to talk to you guys about blah, 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 and ask you to endorse it. And that's activate.
Let's pause there with the two, because the E.A.R.R, I think educate and activate are the ones like, oh, that sometimes, and Nicole, you can back me up on this or not, like people think that they have to have a doctorate on an issue before they can act on it, which I'm like, absolutely might not. It's like all this, if you can correct me if I'm wrong, that what it means, what educate means is that you know enough to stop, speaking only with your frustration, right?
Right.
The first power move that a person can make is like specificity, right? Like is being very specific. I don't know what you guys' thoughts are about that. My fight, my ask, that's like knowing specifically is just like, that's a flex.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and it's even just articulating the pain, right? I mean, you don't have to articulate the technical details of the pain because most people won't understand that anyway. But if you at least express, this is the pain, if that's what's happening, right? Or this is the opportunity, because granted, like not everything is pain. Right? Not everything is a problem. Some things are opportunities that we don't see, right? That would help, that would benefit the community, right? So if you just articulate the opportunity or just articulate the pain, like, for me, with one of the bill that I was talking about earlier, it was the pain was the water bill. The water bills were too damn expensive, right? And just to tell me that their water bills were for a household, a house the size of mine, was $200 a month or more. And knowing that county water bills, that was regulated water, county water bills were like a fraction of that gets the voice out there. And if you can articulate that to the person who represents you, then get more people to articulate it, then you get then we're able to be like, yeah, that's crazy. What is happening? And then we can go and start figuring out what are the technical details that is making this problem, right? But it's easy to say where you're feeling the pain, and that's all you got to do. That's where you're going to get other people with you, because they then can say, yeah, I'm feeling that pain too, right? They don't necessarily know the technical details, but they know the pain that they're feeling. And that makes it easy for people to jump on to then create more to start organizing or mobilizing some people to then be organizing an effort. And then, and along the way, be telling the whoever it is, local government, state government, and as Chris said before, start at the closest level to you, right? Because they have the most time and the most vested interest in making sure that they do something, or possibly being able to do something.
Yeah. Well, and I'll say too, I completely agree. And there's a layer to the proximity with action. And the first layer is yourself. Like in our life, if you can't influence yourself, you're never going to be able to purposefully or intentionally influence the world around you. So, how many of us were like, gosh, I need to be doing this or I need to be doing that, and I can't get myself to do it. And so learning, habituating preferred patterns and moving yourself away from those dispreferred patterns. For me, activism is this space where I'm, I have to make sure I get enough sleep and eat, enough food, and I'm influencing myself, and then I educate myself. I learn about issues because that is such a powerful tool for understanding And then we bring that influence out into the world, to our neighbors and our friends and our family and our state representatives and our city council members. And that's what grassroots is. It doesn't just stop at the grass, it grows up through everything.
And I'm wondering for the folks that are watching, what, like, part of this is the education piece is truly knowing that issue you care about, the person, the office, or the agency. Like, that takes work, or the committee that can move it, like that. All of that takes some level of work. And you have to tell yourself, and I understand the sentiment Chris said of, like, it starts with yourself, like believing that you actually can take this step, that not putting more time on it. I'm like, it's going to take me forever to do, when really, if I just took that step, it becomes a moment. It becomes the click of an email. And I think we overestimate what it takes to help ourselves understand what it makes to move. Chris, you kind of went through this about what you care about. I'll move to the next slide, because what I do believe very much so is that we've got to get ourselves out of the space of saying they should, like, this is what they should be doing, because I'll be trying to figure out who is they.
Yeah, I completely agree.
They told me.
It's a system for empowerment. It's a system for, so many people spend all day scrolling through the bad news. And part of why I got into, I was less interested in really the public side of things, but I realized that, I would do it too. And so my personal coping mechanism is, I'm like, what am I reading all these articles for if I'm not going to do something about it? And everything we do is an act of influence of which we may not see the results of, but it's wind in the democracy sails, and the sails can be turned in different directions, and we're trying to blow the wind in our preferred direction, and it is challenging, and it takes a lot of air, but that is the game, is influence and growing and developing your personal ability to influence and again, it just like it goes from you outward, it does that in your politicians too. If we're persistent enough, let me tell you, like, learn about intelligence agencies. One of my favorite things to study is tradecraft and intelligence. And so, the Soviet Union, CIA has FOIA guides that they've released about people going into the Soviet Union. And it's like, cool, you're someone in the Soviet Union, you hate Stalin, and you as an individual want to figure out how you can negatively impact the USSR's bad things that they're doing. You can do that. And intelligence agencies figured out some brilliant stuff, not just ours, a lot of it used for evil, but there are ethical applications, and we should look first at the most effective tactic. How can we find the ethical application of it? And then how can we apply that to our lives? And that is the mission of all of this, right?
That is just that. Here's what we do, right? Let's get people working, right? Let's get people working. And I know I see Miss Charlene with her pen up by her face. She don't know I can see her, but I can see her. And she smiles. It's like, this is the work. I want you all, because I see some folks in the chat and I see folks watching on Instagram too, is like, right now, like, truly think about, what is my issue? And I'm going to make this bigger real quick for everybody to see, like, what is my issue? I want you to write that down. And maybe you don't have the answer right now, but you're percolating on it. Like Chris just said, and I think it's a beautiful thing, and I know they can't see you, but they can still hear you. Chris just said that, like, I'm reading all of this stuff and I'm not doing anything about it. Like, what the heck are you reading? That could be a guiding light.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's just what's upsetting to you, because a lot of what I'm promoting is based in cognitive behavioral therapy. Because when you go in for cognitive behavioral therapy, the first question they'll ask you is like, what's disruptive in your life? What are you trying to address? And what control can you exercise it to any degree? And so that's good cognitive behavioral therapy. And that is the same application. This is a thing that's upsetting you in the world. What can you do about it? Maybe that thing you can do about it is just going and starting to volunteer at the soup kitchen while your emotions, while you can, exerting some control though. And that's, again, part of cognitive behavioral therapy is like, exert any control, and you remind your brain that you are not powerless. You are not powerless.
Yeah.
I thought you were about to say something, Nicole. I felt you coming in on it.
Nah. I don't say cool things. I try not to.
Yeah, but you do. Like, the thing about it is it's being specific, and then, setting a deadline. I I'd like to call them lifelines, because it's when you're bringing something to life. Like, when will I know I have planted this seed where something will come to life? That is like the first. That is the E, right? That is a challenge, is to really sort of ask yourself, what is your target? And if you're a person that's on here right now and drop it in the chat. Drop it in the chat. What you think your target is. We did get one comment
And
here.
you can rotate too. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying, bark up the right tree. Yeah, it's great to bark.
Yes.
I love it.
And it's okay to pick different things. I think that, and again, this is like another attorney carryover that doesn't quite work. People fixate on one issue. I think it's strategically more effective. This is asymmetric warfare. We are the party that is, they have money and the big machines, and we have the people, and this is our homes. This is our territory, and we have this hostile invading force trying to take over. And so you take the thing you care about. What's bugging you today? You read an article about the Epstein files. And you're like, gosh, not a single person has been arrested. So I'm not happy about that. Okay, well, I'm now going to say, okay, what can my governor do about it? Well, my governor could start a task force to investigate what we have publicly available of the Epstein files. They're in charge of all the state law enforcement. We can learn our way into a better world. That's how we fight the ignorance of hate. And we are up against ignorant, hateful people by learning about a subject. What a joyful thing. I love learning. I want to be the Neil deGrasse Tyson of public policy. That's the dream right there. Because, like, learn about that thing, learn what people can do, and say, cool, I'm gonna email my governor today, and if I'm still thinking about this Epstein thing tomorrow, well, then I'm gonna email, maybe I'll send him a fax. Every governor has a fax number available online, and then maybe I'll do a phone call, and then, and I'm gonna say, you have the resources to investigate what we have publicly available of the Epstein files. Don't tell me it's not a state matter, because you have the full legal authority to investigate it and see if any of those crimes intersected with our state criminal statute. And that means you could be calling in Donald Trump et al. For depositions. You could be bringing them to our state, to any other state that wants to join in, so that they can be, and then whatever you find, you can release publicly, and you can bring it on down the chain. What a fun thing that was to learn,
What a fun thing that was to learn. Nicole, what you got?
And can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, because I can't hear you, Jackie, but I wanted to say, the one thing in regards to that is when you feel like, and because I know that we have felt over and over again that we've lost, right? We have losses along the way, and I just want people to understand, because there will be steps or milestones that you don't reach them in the time frame, or that you want to reach them in, or you have a setback, and we experience setbacks. We may be fighting for the thing that you are advocating to us that the community needs, and on the broader view with the Epstein files, that there have been setbacks, that instead of giving up, you say, okay, what lesson did we learn from what we just did? And so how do we pivot and do something different to be able to keep moving forward? Because this has to be addressed. It's not over yet. It's never over until we get to a good solution. So so you can help the advocates, the politicians that you're talking to, that are on your side now and trying to help. Sometimes we don't win in that. Sometimes our bill gets killed, but then it's not that we aren't trying. So help us to figure out, all right, what can we do differently? How can we pivot? Is it a different way to introduce, or a different bill to introduce? Don't give up, and don't be like, and definitely don't say, because it feels like a loss for, let's say, the Democrats, that we're not doing anything. we're always doing something. We're always moving forward. So we got to keep moving forward. We need you to also have that same spirit.
Yeah, and that spirit is the underbelly of the next thing. It's like the activate, right? Like knowing that, like, all right, we may have took that little L, but what Chris just did is like drop some knowledge. So like, what I love to hear people is like, ain't nobody, you said it, Nicole, ain't nobody doing nothing. It's like, no, you just haven't found your people.
Yeah. You might have to make that tribe of people too, and be a light to others. Because also, like, one of the things in the activist spaces, I don't know anybody else, maybe people have done it. I've done after action reports for people who left activist organizations. And the two biggest issues are people felt like they were wasting their effort because they weren't having specific, measurable, actionable things that they were doing. And it's like, if your goal is to make sure that, name a big political goal, that we have universal health care and no more for-profit health care. Well, that's tough. Even people who've been president, Barack Obama wanted to do that and he wasn't able to get it done. And he seems really smart. He's a lot smarter than me. And so like I think that,
and he had power.
Yes. Yeah. He literally became president and he's still like with a supermajority in the House. And I believe that he wanted it and really tried. But that's the point, is like, what is your goal? What is your action? My action is process oriented rather than outcome oriented, because the outcome I want really is influence. I'm not going to be able to guarantee a big world thing, that war is over and that we don't have, housing is a human right. But what I can do is I can say, I'm going to continue to do a little bit regularly as a habit that I know is effective. I'm going to continue to learn from the process and refine my methods. And that's a really important part of this model, is tracking what you're doing. People tell me, they'll say, I've been emailing my state senator every week for 5 years and they never respond. And I'm like, I'm glad you did that. That's not wasted effort, but call them now. And then show up at their office and then fill out their constituent contact form and send them a box of donuts, and inside the box of donuts is an angry letter and a Polaroid of you mad at them. Or you get my point. Like, we continue to, it's tactics and strategy is the game. This, like I said, it's that mindset of, it's asymmetric warfare. They do have the power. They are these hostile, unwelcome invaders in our land. And what are you gonna do? Bend the knee? Not gonna happen. Not me, not you guys. So here we are.
Yeah, it's about putting that ask where it can be felt. I love that. I love saying that ask. Because we have to activate, right? Like, and to your point, activation is not just about being loud. It is about putting that same clear ask through the pressure point that can move your target. I love that. Donuts, you open it up and you're like, oh, snap. No, it's not what you expected. But
printed out an article about the issue, and like public banking is one of my favorite things. So it's like, fine, whether I have a Republican representative or a Democrat representative, you know what is a really fun activate action? Print out 100 copies of whatever your issue is about it, a one sheet, an article, something. Put them on every car in the state house parking lot while everybody's at work. And you could do that on a lunch break, and that's a great action.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine, Nicole? I couldn't even. They can't get to our cars, but you can definitely use the lunch space and all of the other spaces in the Capitol. Every bathroom, there are definitely ways to make it happen.
Well, for the Americans with Disabilities Act, we have one of the best systems in the entire world for disabled people, for like making public spaces accessible. Part of how that happened, and I am encouraging nothing illegal here, but like in a lot of places, they weren't going to like make the sidewalks wheelchair accessible until they were damaged. So ADA activists got sledgehammers and damaged the sidewalks. And I'm not telling people to do anything, but I'm saying that is a cool story, that they were like, we want people with wheelchairs to be able to use the public sidewalks. And so we're going to figure out how to help make it happen. And so just a thought, but not a suggestion.
One of the and as well, you can write out, like, if you don't feel like your voice is being heard by, or you're not getting a response, so you don't know if the person that you're reaching out to, the elected official that you're reaching out to, is listening, is hearing you, is doing anything about what you're saying, write an op-ed to the local paper. Reach out to one of the news channels, depending on what the issue is. They may feature it as one of those features of, something is going wrong here and no one is paying attention, right? You can do a workaround and let people know. I mean, when I was on school board, my some of my fellow school board members would not answer any of their emails. And so people would come in public comment to let us know, or let the people know, they were sending them emails and they weren't responding, right? So you can make it public if you're not getting a response. I mean, we're accountable to our constituents, or we should be.
We should be, but that's when we get to that recruit part, is getting more people that have that thing called the vote to activate and say, "Oh, we're so sorry you didn't listen." Now we have to get the whole community to say no to you.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and with recruitment, one of the important things with the whole E.A.R.R model is you're allowed to be a solo actor. And you can be a wildly effective one, without a doubt. Because for some people, especially in like activist organizations, personality clashes happen. A lot of personality disordered people are drawn to these sorts of positions on all sides of the aisle, and that's you're allowed to just be like, this group isn't for me, but I can still do it on my own, and maybe I can mention what I'm doing. Like, that's part of the model too, is if you're up for it, be the light shining for other people. Whether it's posting on your Facebook or letting your neighbors know, or telling your family. It's like, hey, this week I called my state representative, my state senator, my governor, and my U.S. House rep, and I told them this specific thing about this one subject. And each week you rotate it, and you just keep doing it whether people want to join or not, but you'll inspire them. And that's part of the recruitment, is being that light for others. But if you want to join a node, you want to start a node, I mean, that's the thing, is like, we can come together and collaborate and participate. And at any time we want, we join, we share all those things, or we move away and do our own thing.
True that. And recruitment to no end is like, recruitment begins with relationships, right? It isn't always necessarily the mass message that you put into people's mailbox or that social media. It can be. I would not think that I can reach everybody. I would start by asking those people who were at the city council meeting. And I'm just, fun fact, right? Like, this is how I got people, is I started showing up. This is before elected. I would come to city council meetings. And when somebody got up there with that fire, they got to say their name and address off top. So I'm like writing their name down and being like, hey, looks like you care very loudly. Would you like to be my friend? Because I want to care very loudly with you. We don't have the same issues, but we have this thing called care. And so I would start by asking, like, who trusts you enough to do a very small thing with you? Like, who can you, and that could be and I'm going to put this up on the stage for folks. It's like, recruiting it doesn't have to be this mass thing. I can't remember the example you gave, Chris, in the book, but it was like, it was just 3 people initially. And I was like, damn.
Well, in Minnesota, in January and February, I spent 2-3 weeks in Minnesota, and one of the things I participated in was Ice Watch. So I got in a car. I just mentioned it on my Substack, and this lady, suburban soccer mom, and she's following ICE agents around, filming them and blasting her air horn and honking her horn, and on these like signal chats about, like, hey, we're seeing ICE try to harass people at this school and that kind of stuff, even though they're not allowed to. So I was with her, and she's taking me around, and she's talking about how she has these friends who are also, suburban mothers, and they understandably don't quite have the same energy as far as the ICE Watch thing, because ICE agents threatened to shoot me during that period, and because I said I just don't want to get shot, and they said that's a threat, and it's crazy, but so she's talking about her friends are scared, and I'm like, well, yeah, there's a lot of things they can do though. Invite them over for pizza, and when they get there, and I was there, I was like, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to the Attorney General website, and I bet they have. I said I'm gonna figure it out. So I want to tell the Attorney General that they need to publicly call for ICE agents who violate our constitutional rights or commit assault or kidnapping or any of those things to be arrested by the police in this state and by law enforcement in this state. And so I'm going to go to the AG's website, and I did that with them. I explained what I was doing as I was figuring it out, because I hadn't researched it in advance. I went through the entire E.A.R.R model of saying, I'm upset about this thing, these ICE agents. Now I'm going to see, well, the governor actually could call. There's no law in the country that says that you're allowed to kidnap or murder or anything just because you have a badge. Anyone who tells you otherwise is being dishonest or misinformed. And so I said, I looked it up and I said, well, the AG seems like a good person to contact about this, right? And they have a contact form on their website. That's not very stressful. You don't have to worry about leaving somebody a voicemail or feel self-conscious. And I said, now I'm going to fill out the form that I Googled, and this is what I'm going to say to him in my own words. And then the friend who I was doing ICE Watch with, she was like, now I am going to join you and do the same thing. And then her friend said, well, we can do this. And then they were like, okay, let's keep meeting up every week. And we will pick a different thing or the same thing or a different contact method. And we're going to get pizza and we're going to watch movies. But also 5 minutes when we first hang out, we do an activism.
I can't think of the word.
That's awesome.
Joyfully resistant. Stephanie knows this. We were just talking about this. It was like joyfully something. But Miss Charlene says showing up to everything like a politician, I know is also important in moving your issue. Like showing up to stuff like you, just like the politicians show up, I'm going to show up too. It's important. It's super important. And I love this sort of string of pearls. That's the way I look at it. It's like I am but one pearl. I may not make a full necklace, but I'm trying to get to be a bracelet. And then soon I will be a necklace or whatever that is. It's hard, I know, to find the time, but the ask can be warm. It can be clear. And this is just an example. This is not how you have to ask, guys. Like, I'm not saying this is the only way, but like, hey, talking to that person and saying, I'm working on this thing. Would you be willing to, right? It is okay to start small and be happy to be small, right? I'm just asking for this one thing this week, and it should only take, to Chris's point, you could say, hey, I just went to the website. It was this form. It was low lead. Like, it should only take you it may take you like 5 minutes or whatever of your time. Like, can we give 5 minutes to it and still have joy together? Because we do not have to compromise still being human, still needing still needing fellowship and love and laughter and being able to smile just because it feels like everything is gloom and doom. I've seen it on t-shirts. I've seen it on books. Joy is resistance. And it is, man. It is like making sure that you're able to do these things, which I thank you for that flag, Chris, too, of like, we're just going to watch a movie. We're going to do some we're going to do some stuff. We're going to do some stuff. Then we're going to watch a movie.
Yeah, that's a movie night. Dungeons and Dragons was one of my first. I didn't even realize I was doing it. And then years later, I write this system and I'm like, well, I was doing this with my Dungeons and Dragons group because we all found out we were lefties together. And I was like, guys, we can actually call the city council and call the governor and tell them we want universal single payer health care, call our state house rep. And I mean, start small and stay small if that works for you. But it's like brushing your teeth. You'd feel weird if you didn't brush your teeth for the day. And because it becomes a habit. You don't need motivation when something becomes a habit. And so some people, they sit down for their cup of coffee in the morning and they're like, all right, today, maybe it's just research. I'm just doing the educate because this issue is bothering me. And then tomorrow during morning coffee, I will pick up and hopefully be ready for my activate for the day. But if not, I'll do another day of educate. And it's just their coffee time every morning is that time for that. And then I recommend psychologically, it's okay to just put the suffering of the world off your shoulders and on the ground for a little bit. You did your thing. If you like run the E.A.R.R system, you will do more activism than I mean, most people in a month, you'll do more than most people do in a lifetime, even people who are frequent activists. Like, this is an amplifying method for your activism. And so take the weight of the world and say, I did a thing. I'm just going to focus on enjoying my life and like be with the people I love. Because what a horrible thing to like, you know, I have a family member who I love a lot, and she'll get really upset about like, you know, the world. And you know, it's like, we're out to dinner. Let's be out to dinner together, right? Donald Trump doesn't have to be here with us.
Well, and then I will say that if you also, it might help if you also, again, think back and what about this issue is local, right? Because it might be, trying to go to the federal administration level, which is going to be so hard to feel like you're getting a win, you know, in any short time period, month, year, or years, right? But if you can think about what about my issue is local, then start local, right? And start with let's figure out what can the local supervisors or city council do about it. If it's related to schools, what can the school board do? Because they're so much closer to you, and it's so much easier for a very small number of voices to have an impact on that local office actually doing something, right? And so then that can build then you can do something there and then, you know, pull back a little bit, right? You know, have some fun, and then maybe then, you know, well, okay, so we were good there. Well, maybe we take it to the state level, you know, so it doesn't just impact our community. Now it can impact all of the school districts or all of the districts in the state, right? So, and that might help, you know, for that build of momentum and joy that, you know, you're accomplishing something as well.
1000%. I love that Kate for the People said, learn our way into a better world over on Instagram. Like, somebody must have said that, because she said 100, learn our way into a better world. What I also think about is, Chris said, you were like, hey, stay in your own back, you know, start right in front of you, Nicole, and couple that with the fact that's like, hey, Donald Trump doesn't have to be at dinner with us. Managing your own expectations, right, is a huge part of, I think, keeping and going. I'll tell a tiny bit of a personal story. It's like, we were fighting a casino here, right? Like, and I can tell you that's probably why I'm in office right now, is just the work. Is a casino being built? Yeah, it absolutely is being built right now. Like, right now, this fight started in 2020. But damn it, if we didn't slow it down and make them be methodical and make them educate us and force town halls and make people feel like this is exactly what they were asking for, and get like it. But I couldn't live, eat, sleep, and drink a casino, because it felt like powerful people were going to come after me and and take me out, because I'm messing with real people's real money and a real thing. And I could see how a paranoia could set in, right? Or was setting in. I'm serious. I was like, Maz was like, you need to start carrying, because you're really messing with these people money. And it's true. I did mess with these people's money.
You ain't never scared. What are you talking about?
Listen, girl, let me tell you something. I don't have dragons, okay? I just got the guy off the street that'll tell me if something happening to my house. So I'm just trying.
Hey, I hear you. I mean, when I got out of the military, and while I was in, I was like in this intense mindset of like operations security and information security. And I spent so much time thinking about that stuff. And then now, like, you know, I'm able the Chief Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court. I filed a disbarment complaint against him. It got national attention. Like, he knows who I am, and he doesn't like me. And I'm currently working in 6 different states. We're leading a volunteer campaign but we found this little known law that like you can prosecute. This all comes from E.A.R.R, by the way. Like, this is the like nodes are popping up with ideas that can operate independently. But like, we're trying to bring through public forms, petitions. You can actually force a grand jury to convene, a criminal grand jury. And so we're working on doing that over Doge conduct. So I could be sitting in a deposition with Elon Musk in the next year leading the questioning against him. And
that'd be awesome.
You know what, though? I'm not like, I instead of thinking about like, there's like all these bad actors out there and ICE agents and this and that, I'm just like, no, I want all this brain power focused on 2 things. 1, living a damn good life, or 2, freaking sticking it to the man and fighting for a better world. And aren't they winning if they're pulling me away with fear and uncertainty?
So that you can live a good life.
You will find courage in the place where your values reside. You know why you're here. You know why you're showing up. You know why you're doing it. You're doing it, and that is where your courage lives. And everyone's got that potential in them.
And you are touching on something that, like, Nicole, I don't know how you feel about this, okay? But I'm gonna say it, okay? In state government, because you keep saying things like the state can do this, the state can do that, the state can do this, the state can do that. We forgot about the 10th Amendment somewhere around. If you don't know what the 10th Amendment, that is our rights to do shit how we want to do it. Okay, so like do stuff. The state government feels like the middle child. As a middle child in life, okay, right? Everybody knows their oldest. Everybody knows the youngest, right? The baby and the oldest, but the middle kid, it's like, here's my oldest, here's my youngest, and here's Jackie. Yes, this is who she is. But we're the bridge, right? We're the ones keeping everybody. I'm just saying this out loud because I want people to understand the power of state government. We have not fully actualized it. And if I may plug some of the work that you're doing, Chris, it's like there is a huge opportunity for us to take this E.A.R.R model and push states to understanding that we've got to get out of our mind that states' rights is this dirty thing from the Civil War time frame, and that's what we're not Civil War. What am I saying? Civil War, but it's this dirty word, right? Like, we exercise our right as the Commonwealth on a myriad of things, like how we hold our elections and how we exercise these things. But we're scared. I think there's a fear of using the power because we feel like we'll push ourselves back into some sort of civil war. Well, darling, we are already at war proverbially with our federal government in a lot of different ways. And I think it's going to take the people to understand what we're capable of doing and what we're not doing. But it takes those nodes of people, Chris, like your Substack is the Existentialist Republic that has so many resources to help not only legislators, but help you all, like everyday people, understand, we could be like, from your website, one of my things of grab them by the ear was to write a letter to the governor and the attorney general and tell them we need to investigate Clarence Thomas for tax fraud, right? Like, that's something that we could actually do because he lives in Fairfax. He lives in Fairfax, guys. And if he lied on his federal taxes, that means he mucked up on his state taxes. And guess who's responsible for that? That's us. Like, we could actually bring him, you know what I mean? And it gets exciting, right? It gets exciting to feel like, you know what? Push, push, push. Come on, governor. Tell that attorney general to investigate that fun lover because he shouldn't be violating state. He's not, no one's above the law. So, like, if you're looking for the things to excite you, I think you have a plethora of things on the Existentialist Republic and on your Substack that can sort of pull people into the exciting work, the big work and the small work right in their own backyard.
Well, and it's all a million little battles, and it's like, even like with the Clarence Thomas thing, he doesn't have to go to jail over that for it to make his life more difficult. He has less time for yacht trips and maybe he's sitting at some dinner with some billionaire and he's like, the AG for Virginia said that they might investigate me. And that's rolling around in his head. And even if the investigation doesn't happen, but the AG says we're looking into it, we've that's a win. But we're doing a million things at once. And one of the important parts when you mention states' rights, that's 10th Amendment, exactly right. Any power not delegated to the federal government explicitly belongs to the states. 9th Amendment, any rule that is not defined, enumerated, explicitly stated, any limit on your freedom that is or rights that we don't explicitly place, we presume you have as freedom. So that means gay marriage, like civil rights, all these different things, unenumerated rights, any right that we have not explicitly taken away from you, we presume you have. So 9th and 10th Amendments are actually like the most important. And before all of this, we're in a new era. And everybody in this call is part of this transition, because before states' rights were almost exclusively used for racism and bad stuff, and part of Civil War. It was an expansion of federal power for the purpose of ending slavery and keeping the country together. And I'm happy that expansion of power occurred for a good reason. But that's the thing, is the reason is what matters. There isn't something inherently more moral about a federal government. The moral thing was ending slavery. And the same goes for a lot of federal, the Department of Justice existed to fight the KKK, where they had taken over the justice system in southern states. Like the FBI, so many agencies were Reconstruction era ways to fight back against racism. And so that's what a centralized federal government meant. When we integrated schools in the United States, we used the National Guard to do that because we said it mattered. The process isn't the moral thing. The federal government isn't the moral thing. The moral thing is saying we're going to make sure this school gets integrated, even if it means changing the order and moving the system. And that if that was happening, if the federal government segregated schools by race, would your governor use the National Guard or the law enforcement that they have? Would they order the state patrol to escort those children into the schools to resegregate them? Would they force resegregation even if the federal government said no? Because that's the moral issue. We are here for the people. We are here for justice, and we will find victories wherever we can in that fight.
Find victories wherever we can in that fight. I love this. And this, as Sewell said, you fight, because what else are you going to do? Shut up and not fight. And that's what it feels like sometimes. I'm not trying to fight for the sake of fighting. I want to use power. Being a delegate, and I don't know how you feel about this, Nicole. It's like, for me, being a delegate is like having Excalibur. And no one's meant to hold Excalibur forever. It's freaking heavy. It goes back into the stone and someone else should pick it up, right? Somebody should. But in order for power to be good, because we've seen power be so bad, more good people have to have power. So I'm wielding Excalibur. I think I want to put this down, because these muscles can only hold it for so long, but you want to do good with it. And what an honor and privilege it is to be of service. But we do need people to follow this E.A.R.R model to help us do more good, because it is really, it's important to know that there are a lot of good people in politics. But even good people have a hard time doing things out of the kindness of their hearts when there's pressure in the room. And if you all follow the E.A.R.R model, that helps those good people do the good things, or stand up when those not so good things are being said or happening with conviction, because you're doing the E.A.R.R model.
Well, and just as an additional note, very much in that vein, Letitia James, the Attorney General of New York, an incredibly powerful role. She brought the fight to Trump. So during his first administration, she did investigations and held the evidence and waited until he was no longer president, and then brought the cases. She followed the playbook by the standard operating procedure as well and courageously as you could. And then a jury convicted him the president on 34 counts, and a judge said, after delaying it 8 months, like they continued to delay thanks to Federal Society of Justice, blah, blah, blah. They played by the rule book, and what happened? He became president again, and now she's getting DOJ attacks against her. She very much in danger. She stuck her neck out, and because we the people, and I'm not even saying failed because of the election, I'm just saying we've failed to, it's okay. I'm not mad at we the people, by the way, guys, because this is tough. It's a tough game. They have all the power. But my point is, the example's been made for any politician that they are in danger. Gavin Newsom could be arrested any day. He's being investigated on politically charged things. So your politicians are never going to be more brave than the public support that they have.
Right.
If you can't convince 20,000 people in your state of whatever the thing is, then you're not going to be able to convince your governor. You can't convince 1 million of the people. You know that's just the game of democracy.
Right. Yeah. And we need you to have our backs in a sense. I'd say for voting, if you're registered non-voters, we got to get you out there to vote. If you're not registered, you got to get out there to vote. And it is not hard to figure out who cares about our communities, who cares about you and our families, and who's a good person for representing our communities and people, and for us in Virginia, our Commonwealth. And so, as Jackie said, it's getting the momentum and getting the support for good people to be in politics, to be able to bring good things and to hold us up against the bad people that, for whatever reason, get into power, right? I think for one of the main reasons or purposes that I had for being elected on the school board for my first 2 years was to be the person who was fearless in speaking truth to power. And because it flipped our board to a very MAGA, non-pro public school board. And I was the one of the minority who was willing to still be transparent about what was going on, speak truth to power, and really be fearless in that, regardless of the attacks that came on an ongoing basis. And then started doing the work with the community, with the people in the community, to flip the school board back to some sanity, right?
Back to sanity.
Yeah.
I love that, Nicole.
Well, I mean, just one extra structural note too about why you learn, you do something about it, you get other people involved, and you repeat. That's what E.A.R.R is. And part of why that matters so much is just because right now there's more evil people running things than good people, because it's easier to win if you decide to be evil, because you get a bunch of money and you get press and you get media. We only can change that math through the same way we've always changed it, whether it was starting this country through pamphlets, whether it was through abolition, which I think, part of the challenge there too is like meeting people and changing like really abhorrent views is like arduous. And then the organized labor. There were literal gunfights, like cannons and guns and snipers over towns, coal mining towns trying to unionize. Like it's a tough game that we're playing, the whole like make the world a better place game. That's a really challenging game throughout history. It's been brutal.
It's a really tough
but it's a
game.
Necessary one.
Yes. And decade after decade, I feel like we've gotten better because people have decided to educate themselves, to activate, to recruit folks, and to keep on doing it decade after decade. We are in a trying time, but we are so young as a country. We are so freaking young. And I think what a time to be alive, to be able to re-energize that spark of like what makes this such a great place to live. Like what, and I don't mean to say cheesy about, I've traveled the world. I was military too, Chris. So like I've traveled a whole lot of places. And I'm gonna tell you, while I do love a European Sunday of everything closing down and falling asleep in the park, I love me some America, okay? I can say out loud that I don't like a particular person in power and not actually be beheaded or be sent to jail, or like there are certain freedoms that we can't, it's hard to see and it's hard to feel But that is the premise of this. And I want you, because we're going to come to like Q&A and things, but this repeat piece, y'all, this is the work. This is the work.
Build the rhythm. Switch up your issues. You don't have to focus on one thing your whole life. You don't know what the method is going to be that will be effective. And that's why we have this systemized 30-day rhythm. What happens in that week? Are you picking one politician and finding 5 different ways to contact them? And each of those 5 ways takes less than 5 minutes. Are you tracking like your receipts, like, whether it's a screenshot or whatever, you're keeping track of your stuff, because you also need those receipts. Because what worked? What if some politicians, they're going to respond to the email, some are going to respond to the call. There's going to be a thing that gets response and different get response. And just like with an intelligence operative, you're just pushing all these different levers. So you need to keep receipts and keep track of things if you're up for it. You don't have to start, but the 30-day rhythm is a wise practice. The accountability. Who knows you said this? That can be your bestie. That can be your mom. You can be your Facebook group. It can be your Indivisible chapter. And then track and escalate. You're keeping track. I mean, that's to visualize it. You did your thing. You kept your receipt. You showed it to other people. And now you're looking at all your receipts and you're taking tabs. You say, oh, you know what? I never realized this has been really effective. Or well, now that they didn't answer any of my calls, emails, faxes, showing up at their office, trying to schedule meetings, inviting other people, putting posters on their doors, commenting on their Facebook posts. They didn't do any of that. Well, now I've got all these receipts. I'm going to print them on a piece of paper, and I'm going to hand this to everyone on my block. And I'm just going to put it, hey, our state representative whose name you don't know? They really suck. They don't want to listen to their constituents. I've just been trying to talk to them about, why I don't want AI data centers or whatever. And that 30-day cycle, you can end that 30-day cycle by distributing all your receipts to the neighbors or your local whoever. You get it.
To me, the rhythm part is where your passion becomes your power. It's that this one action that could potentially create a big old moment, and you don't even know when it's going to happen. But I believe the importance of the rhythm is that the repetition of doing something creates an expectation. If I keep doing push-ups, right? As you've said, right? As the book says, like, if I'm doing push-ups every day, I expect these arms to get swole. Like, there is an expectation. And on top of that, if all of this, and you talked about writing things down and opening your calendar and putting it up and following up on that particular day, a plan that only lives in your head is just a wish in dress-up clothes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's and just to note too, we use any journal or notebook. You can get them for $1, at any store. But on the existentialistrepublic.com, I made this like We Rebel journal type thing, and it's mostly blank pages, but there's like quotes in there from like Albert Camus, and who lived during World War II and fought for peace and was a real existentialist philosopher who I really value. But anyway, so we have that journal if you wanted to get one off the existentialistrepublic.com. But any journal will do, and journaling is a good practice anyway.
Yes, I need to drop that in the comments. Existentialistrepublic.com. It's just and the beauty and what I'm grateful for is in the work that you are doing and the people that you're pulling together is that it's like, look, we're doing this because we want you to do something with it. It's not free. I mean, it doesn't come without a time of cost. So donate if you can to use the resources so the work can continue, but also you're not gatekeeping it in a way that people don't have access to it, which is really important.
But everything we've ever 12 booklets, 4 books that I've personally written. Like the booklets are a mix of Existentialist Republic volunteers and that kind of thing, but everything has a free PDF available for $0 that you can get at buymeacoffee.com/the-E.A.R.R. Free. Anything we put out, and we're working on this app, and if we get the app off the ground, it'll even have like it'll fit with the E.A.R.R model. So when you first go onto it, it'll say, what's your role? activist, state senator, like it'll have governor, president, and you'll pick, and it'll bring you through like a guided activist journey of what you can do as well, even if you're a governor,
Awesome. I'm gonna put this.
It's so great to have those tools,
For real. I have someone here on Instagram that was like, hey, I'm going to see my mayor on Saturday, but not in a business setting. I'm sure they don't want to talk about politics. That's probably why you should.
Become friends, get to know them and ask them, like, what do you care about in this world? I mean, I get to, relationships are so much. I mean, we were talking about going to city council meetings and just like meeting up with people. And it's the same, even if it's your mayor, like, get to know people and talk their ear off though. What's really great in those situations that I've found is if you can because you want to keep it casual, but you just find a moment where you say, just, I have to do this. My background, I was in the military, and I see all these veterans benefits getting cut, and our city could actually do things to help veterans more. Like funding homeless shelters for everybody though, not just veterans. And I want to see that funded, and I want to see that happen, and I don't want to see excuses. And you'll be my friend even if you do a bad job on that, but you won't get my vote. And then you laugh and you pat him on the back. That's the important part that I learned in the military. I had this friend, and she was like really she could definitely whoop me in a fight not that we ever would, but she was really, really tough. But she would insult people to their face and smile and laugh, and they would laugh with her. And I was like, oh my God, this is super fun. It helps if you laugh, say these more serious.
Nicole, I'm wondering for you, I asked this question in all of the events and stuff that we've been doing, is like, how many emails or how many calls or how many contacts do you need to have about an issue before it rises to the level of like, I really need to do something in your office? And I would love for people to drop it in the comments how many they think it would take. Like, how many contacts on a single issue does it take before your staff, because let me just say this, we're very fortunate to have staff. We don't pay them enough. They make more than we do because that's the way life is as far as being delegates, but they're monitoring the things. And so how many times do you have to hear about an issue before your staff is like, Delegate Cole, like, this is a thing?
Honestly, it doesn't take a whole heck of a lot, but that actually come from my constituents, right? For the gun legislation, or for the sales and use tax for schools, it's it may be a hot issue, and we may get hundreds of emails, but we're going to be parsing through which ones are coming from my constituents. And so if we get like, a small fraction of those are from my constituents, then we're going to be paying attention, right? We're going to be finding out more information. We're going to try to engage them to see, how is it actually affecting our community, and what do I need to do to support it for the benefit of community members. Or not, so, it's also because we get both sides. Most of the time we'll get both sides of the equation, but it's helpful. I will engage when I see, and my staff sees, that there are people from our community who are paying attention and actually weighing in.
Yeah, that's Miss Charlene said, it has been my understanding that at least 7 contacts should be made. I'll tell you this, in our office, if I get like 3 emails, that's like, yo, what's up? And granted, we represent about 85 to 86,000 people respectively, right? Nicole, that's about the amount of folks that we represent. So like 3 emails being like, something's happening here. But to her point I'm making sure that they are folks that are within my district. within the district that I'm held to represent. So it's good to reach out and say, hey, there's a thing. I'm checking that address, okay? Not me. The team is checking that address, okay? And they're like, I mean, you got it, but if there's no one from your district that has said anything about this,
right,
which makes a difference sometimes.
Yeah, well, and volume, like an important thing is frequency and volume are really valuable for all humans, no matter what their position is, whether you're a mechanic or a governor or a state rep. If you're hearing about something often, and even if it's 10 people who are really loud, like I know the Tea Party was astroturfed and funded by oligarchs, but they had people who were really would not shut up about these things and were screaming about it and were out in public all the time and harassing their representatives. And it's like, they're taking up your bandwidth. They're owning your time. And that's, even if you don't like it and you're never going to agree to what they're doing, they're owning some of your time. That's why you don't invite Donald Trump to dinner, but we're going to invite ourselves to Ted Cruz's dinner or to whoever else, because we're going to get our issues in there, even if it's just because it's taking bandwidth away from the evil. But there also is persuasive power, even if, like, in Dungeons and Dragons. I'm a big Dungeons and Dragons fan.
Gosh, you nerd.
And there's you like persuasion. It's a thing you try to do in Dungeons and Dragons. You try to persuade somebody. Now, they're not going to go from wanting to murder you to being your best friend just because you said something very persuasive.
right.
But you can influence an entire crowd of people, and some of them already kind of like you. And so that same persuasion moves them over from kind of like you to enthusiastic supporter. And that same persuasion moves I hate this guy and I wish he was just gone. We could shoot him in a cannon into space, to I just don't want these people calling my office anymore and showing up at my office. So I'm just not going to fight against this bill. I'm going to abstain from voting.
Right. And they can't say that they didn't know, right? If they at that point, it's like, I can't say that I didn't know because you raised it to my level of awareness. And the thing about the fact that, it may only be 3 constituents, but, we also recognize that while, we may have 84,000 constituents in the district, only less than half of those are voters. And so then less than half of those even are really engaged. So to actually have a handful of people, really take it to the point where they're actually reaching out to me, then that means that they're representing a number of other people, right? And so I need to listen.
Facts on facts on facts, which is why, like, the last thing that we've been encouraging folks on the morning do. Did you see that D&D for democracy? The last thing that we've sort of been encouraging people on the morning do is to understand that power has an address. It does, and having that at your fingertips is oops. I think something's in backfill, but being able to know that you can write down those addresses, have them on your refrigerator. All I'm asking you to do is I think I'm getting it. Hold on. Let me see something real quick. Okay, sorry. It was I thought it was. So, like, power is not like just floating in the air. It's not this thing. It is not mysterious. And the day, like, we got to drop the day and really understand where power sits. It has a name, it has a title, it has an office, it has a board, it has an agency, a committee, a meeting, a phone number, an inbox, a portal, a doorway, like all of those things, no matter what, that we cannot, if we cannot name where the decision where that decision lies, then we're still like pissing in the wind, right? We're just yelling at the weather, and we can't do that. If the problem is real, then the people are real. The emotion is always justified, right? Your feelings are valid, but we're trying to make sure you do something with it. But the pressure has to not sort of arrive just any old way. So asking you all to make your power address card. That means it's like it could be a note card. It can be a note that you keep in your phone and saying, here is the number and the email to my mayor. Here's the number and email to my council person. Here's the number and email to my attorneys general, like these, or Commonwealth's attorney, right? Walk that all the way up, right? Walk that up and making sure you have that at your fingertips. I guarantee you might be having somebody say, take a screenshot of this card. Take a picture of this card. This who you need to call, right? Like, start with the decision makers that you need to engage with most. And again, that's means starting at the local level. Sometimes you need to know who your registrar is. Sometimes you need to know who the sheriff is. What'd you say, Chris?
Oh, sorry. I was just saying I completely agree. And the treasurer for your state maybe gets one. They don't get constituent emails. They don't get constituent calls. They don't get this and that. You know what? Defunding, like in California, I don't remember the name of their treasurer, but that person, I am not a fan of them, because we reached out and our volunteers reached out and they tried to say, we said, defund companies that are participating in war crimes. And they said, we have a fiduciary duty, blah, blah, blah. And I said, you are a liar, because California defunded from apartheid and pulled $150 billion in investments out of South Africa during apartheid and played a major part. It's not good for your investors to destroy the world. If we're not here in 10 years, that's not you carrying your fiduciary duty. So get a hold of your treasurer for your state too. Sorry, I had to pick a little beef on that situation, but I'm still mad at them about that. I'm going to see if I can help make sure they don't stay, they get replaced or something.
This is the work, right? Y'all, this is the work. I think that's the last. Hold on, I'm making sure that's our last.
Oh, and one note too about the knowing where people are is the seat in Minnesota, in Minneapolis. Existentialist Republic volunteers and myself, somebody designed a poster for free, and it said it was Joyce Strong on Substack, I believe, and so people put the info for like the Hennepin County attorney and for Keith Ellison, the AG, and for the governor, and we had their email, phone number, fax, and like what you should tell them. Charge Jonathan Ross for the murder he committed, or we have sufficient evidence, and also use the National Guard to protect protesters, not to protect police. And so specific demands for each office, how to get a hold of them, because there were so many people out on those streets, and I was like, if every one of these people made a phone call to all three of those people, it would be more contact than they receive in an entire 4-year term by orders of magnitude. And so we handed out 4,000 of those. And while Jonathan Ross hasn't been charged, Mary Moriarty did charge 2 ICE agents with separate activities. One waved a gun in someone's face during a road rage incident. I don't remember what the other one did, but it's not good enough, but it's more than almost anybody's done. So credit where it's due. And I thank the activists in Minneapolis for, at those events, handing out literally and also we brought them to 2 different print shops. Both print shops gave us all of the posters for free.
Oh, wow.
Awesome.
The staff were like, don't tell anyone. I said, I can't tell you which print shops did it, but they were like, this is what you're printing? Hell yeah. So.
Nicole, the clap. I would love to, as we sort of come to our last 10 minutes on here, I've got Miss Charlene. Can I pull you in just to ask you a question? She said yes. This is an everyday person, y'all. Okay, everyday lady. Hey, Miss Charlene. Hold on, I'm gonna unmute you. Say that again, Miss Charlene.
I said it's been very interesting evening.
Yes. Do you have any questions, comments, or anything for the author, for Nicole, or just a statement about, since you've been watching?
Well, it's, as I said, it's been very interesting, and a lot of it has been reinforcing of stuff that I've learned over the years. A lot of what you are now teaching, I wish many others had taught years before, but it's been great. Very good. And thank you again. You have changed the trajectory of how things are in Norfolk, because you started having these discussions and now other folks realize that they are behind the times and are struggling to catch up. So kudos to you and thank you for doing that.
Oh,
I've been saying it for years.
it's my pleasure, Miss Charlene. What's your biggest takeaway from this evening? What are you putting in your pocket?
The easiest thing to do is the simplest thing. It doesn't take a whole lot. I'm always on my phone, so I get email this or write somebody, then it takes 5 seconds. I am sure that Congressman Bobby Scott gets tired of my letters, as well as Congressman Senator King and Senator Warner. My church, which is the United Church of Christ, often sends out requests for us to do things. So my last letter was to them. So, I mean, it doesn't take but 5 minutes, and you tailor it to whatever it is that you have to say on whatever the issue is. And so it's very easy to do.
Just take some time. Take some time. We appreciate you, Miss Charlene. Thank you for hanging in there with us until the end of here.
Well, I've been missing you in the morning, but it's been crazy. But things are looking up.
Okay, that means I need to tap in. I need to tap in with you and send you some smooches. Now we have somebody on here who has their power card. Do you have your power card? I saw it in the chat. Okay. This is me cheating. Your power card with the office.
I have it pulled up. Yep.
Okay, you gonna show it?
I don't know how to share my screen, but I will absolutely show it. So I'm gonna try share screen. We're just gonna. Oh man, this is gonna be bad. You guys are gonna see all my open tabs.
That's all right. This is the way we live on the edge.
Can you see it?
It's coming up.
Awesome.
Yeah, so we'll share that. If you need support, these are the power cards that we sort of made for people to have, where you can write down. When we were in person, we did this in person. We worked as a team, as an entire group, because we knew we all had the same senator. We knew we all had the same attorney general and governor and the little other things from different localities we filled in. But if you want a copy of it, please don't hesitate to reach out on any of the spaces and places. As a matter of fact, I'll go ahead and take that if you hold me accountable to it, Stephanie. I'll put that on my Linktree, which is Linktree/Jackie, the number 4 Norfolk. And I'll send it to you, Nicole, as well. These power cards for people to just have it ready. Just put it up there on the refrigerator. Just put it as a PNG on your phone so you can share it. Political Power has an address. Thank you, Stephanie.
Yes, ma'am.
Any biting final sort of words? I'm gonna make sure we don't have any more comment. Okay, there it goes. I put that. Somebody was asking.
Love that.
Ain't it just, we're trying to make it easy for each other. I love the coalition building that's happening across the country to do things. And I'm hoping that we get more, particularly in our world, state legislators just sweeping across the country, forcing us to exercise that power and sort of holding the institution to what it should be. And also just like not being scared. What you got, Nicole? Your biting words. It's catching up. She's catching up to us. There it is.
Hey, Chris, can you repeat what she just said? I know she asked me to say something. I can't hear.
She asked for final words. She asked for final words.
Your final words.
Awesome. Excellent. Thank you. I just want to say, thank you, Chris, for providing the information, the process, the steps, the ease, the tools to help people to do more to advocate for themselves, their families, and their communities. It definitely, as an elected official, it is helpful for us to have people more engaged than not, especially when we are trying to do good work for our community. And I'm gonna, kudos to Delegate Glass, who she knows I've been following for a long time and has been an inspiration to me. And one of the things that Miss Charlene said in also, talking about the work that you do in educating the community to be able to advocate for themselves more and letting them know that you are here, come and talk to you. That's the kind of delegate that I want to be for my community, and having tools like Grab Them by the Ear to share with them helps them to be better prepared to support me in the work that I'm trying to do for them. So don't be shy. Make sure that your voice is being heard at all the levels where you can help to make a difference for our communities, for our Commonwealth here in Virginia. So I'm excited.
Chris, what you got?
Well, first of all, thank you guys so much for having me. This stuff makes me really happy. It really does. And also thank you, by the way, to Charlene and to everybody else. Final thoughts. I want people to think about how two people can go through the same thing, or two nations, or anything. Two people can go through the same thing, and one of them grows stronger and more powerful and more fierce, and one of them falls and crumbles. And sometimes we're one of those people, and then we're the other, and then we're one other back. For 4 months after the last presidential election, I would get very emotional if anybody brought up politics, and I said, nobody talked to me about politics. And never in my life have I done that. I cried so hard the next day that I had to stop my therapy appointment. I was like, the therapist was like, do you need more time? And I was like, I'm not going to be able to. Like, there wasn't a timeline. I was like, I don't know how long this is going to last, of not being able to even talk because I'm crying so hard. But we can choose how we want to react. We can think about that. We can think about, how do I want? A book I'd really recommend to anybody is Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. Dr. Viktor Frankl lived through the Holocaust, and his story as a psychoanalyst going through the Holocaust is a powerful, insightful story. And you could probably read it in an afternoon. It's not that long. But the difference is between the people who go through the same thing and it causes them to fall, and those who it causes them to become stronger than ever, is the attitude that we bring towards it, the framing that we acknowledge. You are here because you are fighting for humanity. You don't want to live in delusion and hate and ignorance, and you don't want to bury your head in the sand. So what does that leave? It leaves learning and growing and being fierce, what's the most dangerous animal you're ever going to meet? It's not the hungry, lion. It's the mama bear who's protecting her cubs, and that is who we can be. We can be strong and fierce and powerful and tenacious and kind and loving, tough and kind and fierce for good and justice. And that is what everybody here can be. And I'm thankful for all of you, because I can't do all this on my own. It's going to take millions of us, and we are us.
I stinking love it. Thank you so much. So I will end by saying gratitude to you, Chris, for writing a book that not only asks us people to admire power, that doesn't ask people sort of to admire power from a distance, but to practice it. Thank you to Delegate Nicole Cole for helping us with that pressure test, with these asks from the inside, of understanding the work is both inside and out, and you can be a part of it too at every level. And then gratitude to everybody who did the work with us tonight, right? Who's hung in there with us. Your assignment is really simple. It is take the next 48 hours and decide an action. It's really that simple. 48 hours. You can, in the next 48 hours, invite one person to that thing, save that one address, follow up with a day on your calendar, and then come back. Power does not need to be loud every single day. I think you heard Chris and Nicole say this, right? It doesn't have to be loud every day. It needs to be present, it needs to be precise, and it needs to be persistent and reachable. So I am hoping that if you didn't get a chance to read the book, the link, we put it in the chats, all the spaces and places. It's on the link tree. You can follow Chris on Substack. I would love, Nicole, sorry, to get all of your information for people to follow you too before we go. We are here to educate. We are here to activate. We are here to recruit and repeat. And always remember that power has an address. And in order for power to be good, more good people like you have to have power. And that's all we want in this world. I know I said last stitch, but I would love for you guys to tell people where they can find you, where they can follow you, and all the good stuff. Either one of you can start.
So the Existentialist Republic, that's the publication. If you just Google it, it's the Substack. And I put calls to action pretty frequently at the bottom of articles and really try to live like the system that I promote through the Substack. So substack.com, the Existentialist Republic, or just Google the Existentialist Republic. Also, the existentialistrepublic.com has a bunch of democracy merch, and that helps fund all the work we do. And also it has like my books, The American Reformation, which is a series of essays about rather than a revolution, us having a reformation. And also Toppling Tyrants, a field guide to dismantling American fascism, and a bunch of booklets and that kind of stuff. And if you go to buymeacoffee.com/the E.A.R.R, you'll find all our books and booklets for free for $0.00 in the shop. And and if you go follow me on Substack and you're like, I don't know what to do for my action, and you didn't find one in an article, although you will find them in articles. But if you're really, really lost, you can send me a direct message because I don't paywall my direct messages, and I should get to it. I can't guarantee it'll be in a timely manner, and Thanks for being here. Also,
Yeah, I got you.
In most places, I'm at Nicole Cole, the number 4 VA. So at Nicole Cole, the number 4 VA. And my website is easy. It's www.nicolecole.com.
Well, that was easy. And I'm going to ask y'all, I know it's late tonight, but guess what I'm getting up tomorrow and doing? We're doing the morning dew for certified doers just like you. So I will catch you tomorrow morning at 07, okay? 7 a.m. Maybe not you, Miss Charlene. I get it. Okay. I will feel the love still tomorrow. Secondly, on August 8th, we have our summer school for certified doers. So y'all know we do this every summer where you want to learn the policy. You want to know how a bill works. You want to know all the stuff that I was like, after I got elected, like, why didn't I notice? That's what summer school for certified doers is. And then that is starting at, I believe, 9 a.m. And at 1:30 p.m., we will start our policy pitch contest. Come with your policy. It is Shark Tank for policy. We've got some delegates that will be joining us. So get your policy. And we had a 13 or 14-year-old pitch last year. So if the 14-year-old could pitch, you could pitch, okay? Pick your policy, and we may actually pick it up and take it to the General Assembly with us, all right? So that's August 8th, all day long. It is going to be at ODU, the Student Senate Center. All of that information and all the places and spaces that you can find me. You all have been an absolute delight. Look at us doing stuff and things. We're just adults trying to be good in this world. So until next time, see y'all. Bye, everybody. Hold up, y'all, on the industry. Good night, doers.